Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Victor and you're watching a top 10 medieval strategy games list, presented to you by Medieval Gameplays channel. So let's get into it. Number 10. Grand Ages Medieval. Now let's talk a little about the context that spawned the whats and the whys behind Calypso's Grand Ages franchise. Hopefully we can reach some insights about the game and their place in history. Calypso's flagship Tropico games are arguable among the best examples of city builder genre in the last decade, and they've achieved a market saturation so vicious I'm confident in my assumption that you have almost likely put at least a few hours into the franchise. Calypso uses a large portion of its sales capital to reinvest in the constant refinement of gameplay systems. If there is one thing Calypso knows how to make, it's a high-grade city builder. For the most part in the Tropico games, the major management system and input-output relationships are balanced and intuitive, but also immersive and challenging, though I grudgingly admit that at some point Tropico's 5 gameplay grew too much cluttered and frenetic for me to enjoy. If Grand Ages Rome is one side of the pendulum swing, then Grand Ages Medieval is a full swing opposite. Calypso has eliminated everything but the commodity management sheets, and has stripped city management down to a single interface book, from which you can either build one of the limited and static improvements, or upgrade your commodity production facilities. The rest of the UI follows a similar pattern. Icons move around the map, and at certain times you interact with various spreadsheets to influence or direct markets and their growth. Don't get me wrong, it's deep and complex and finely balanced, but it's so startlingly narrow. Every player is more or less exactly the same in terms of abilities and playfeel. The only concessions to cultural distinctiveness are the local names and complexions of traders and governors. The fact that the map is Europe is completely irrelevant to the gameplay, except that depending on your geography skills, you may be able to predict resource placement. This game gets 6 out of 10, conditionally recommended for the niche fans and for collectors. And so we move on to number 9. Number 9. Empire Earth 2 has a lot of good points, but it's no friend to the casual real-time strategy gamer. Game modes are a standard for historical RTS. A tutorial and 3 solo campaigns trace the development of Aztecs, Koreans, Germans, and Americans from different points in the history of each civilization. Single-player turning points missions see you revisiting D-Day on either the American or German side, or fighting the ancient Chinese Three Kingdoms conflict on behalf of the Wu or Wei. Skirmish mode lets you set up an online or offline battles between as many as 10 humans or computer opponents in game types that feature 9 different victory conditions. The historical RTS template upon which Empire Earth 2 is based is solid in every way, save for clunky pathfinding, which remains a sore point in specific locations, especially at sea and when offloading troops from ships. Attacks are carried out in an intelligent fashion as well. Computer opponents are aggressive, even on easy difficulty settings. If computer armies are easily repelled from one point a few times, you can virtually guarantee the next attack will focus elsewhere. Conversely, if an attack meets with even a modicum of success, you can bet more assaults will be directed at that particular location very shortly. Overall, this game gets a solid 8 out of 10, and so we get to number 8. Anno 1404, aka Dawn of Discovery, is an excellent city management and building game. First, even though the game is relatively old, 2010, the graphics are still beautiful, but even more than that, what truly shines in this game is the attention to the detail. Watching your workers roll barrels, or some peasants celebrating something in the tavern, or even the performers at the jugglers camp is highly entertaining. The gameplay is extremely satisfying, with excellent depths, however it's simple enough, and the campaign does a good job of introducing the gameplay elements. Storyline is okay, but the campaign is still enjoyable with varied scenarios and objectives like all good strategy games. The scenarios will also add decent amount of gameplay hours after the main campaign is clocked, and the continuous mode will further still add more gameplay hours. If you do buy this game and enjoy it, then the Venice add-on is highly recommended, as it essentially adds more content in an already excellent game. Anno 1404 has absolutely stunning graphics, whimsical art design, endearing characters, complex city building and trade mechanics, and immense replayability. Oh, and the music is so good and the sound design creates such alive environments. Everything is good about this game. I have zero complaints. Related design has totally outdone themselves here. This truly is a sleeper hit. If you have even a slight interest in city building and historic sim games, play this one. This one gets a 9 out of 10, and we get to number 7. Cossacks. Lovingly detailed sprite-based RTS. I have had populations of over 24,000 units, villages and the mines included, on my side alone on a huge skirmish map with 6 other computer-controlled players. You must farm or fish for food, chop wood, quarry stone, mine coal, iron and gold to supply your army. It's difficult not to appreciate the class of the Cossacks. Its gameplay focus is well split into all of the
other aspects that characterize an RTS game. Game rhythm, upgrades, buildings, unit variety and relevance, population realism, battle simulation. This could go for hours. One has got to admire the effort put into crafting the unit, functioning and overall building management of this game. Cossacks offers plenty of pleasurable elements. First, there is the outstanding number of nations, each with its own architectural identity, wonderfully done by the way, as well as the outstanding number of unique units and their precise importance on the battlefield, or in the development of one's domains. Second, there is the realistic representations of population growth, with civil infrastructure costing you more as your settlement expands, although there is no set limit for your population. Third, there is the artillery and infantry details, amazing to watch as they engage in a battle. Fourth, there is the customizable gameplay as the options for a skirmish match are reasonable, type of terrain, type of elevation, game speed, resources, and so on, gathering all the good and fair choices everybody should have when playing a free build or skirmish game mode in any RTS. Last but not least, the naval conflicts. It's just so exciting to watch your territories and riches grow and have to formulate quick strategies with your coffers and coal reserves so you can build a solid fearsome fleet that can outrun the enemies. The huge battles, details of hundreds of men can be formed, the realistic artillery ballistics, the exciting invasions on the enemy settlement, the fast-paced management of your resources, wood, gold, food, iron and coal, and workers, and the extreme attention that one has to keep on the keeping up of the improvements and specific upgrades will determine who prevails in the hot war scenario of this game. Cossacks can give you this kind of thrill if you're fond of the genre. This one gets a 9 out of 10, and so we get to number 6, Europa Universalis 4. The game is based around war, but there is a lot more to it than just war. The war system is one of the most well designed that I have ever seen. Generals give bonuses based on their statistics, based on whether you're attacking or defending. The system requires a good balance of infantry, cavalry and artillery to get the best out of your conflicts. You have to move your troops in reasonably sized platoons to avoid attrition losses in hostile terrain. Wars have to be justified, either based on the claim to the territory being invaded, often fabricated, religious differences, trade disputes, and a myriad of other reasons. You will want to forge strategic alliances in order to take down common foes, but be wary of making your future adversaries too powerful, as they will often decide when they share a border with you to do the same to you as the two of you just did to your common foe. The leader system is one of the weaker points. Research is highly dependent on your leader, and quite often you'll go through a period of intense frustration as your king dies, leaving behind a heir who contributes little or nothing to the progress of the country. I'm not sure why the leader, which is entirely random, has such a great influence on the research, which I would imagine has far more to do with the scholars than your king. Religion and trade have great influence, which is an accurate reflection of the time period. The trade system is very detailed, and even after 200 hours in the game, I'm still learning new things about how best to run my trade routes, from dealing with pirates to controlling ports to the decisions between free trade and protectionism. Trade is a highly important and complex part of the game. You can improve your territories with all kinds of different buildings and defenses, each of which provide strategic bonuses but cost points which could otherwise be spent on technological increases. There is a fine balance to be had between improving your nation's administrative, diplomatic and military tech levels and trying to meet the other needs of the nation, like improvements, adequate defense, and diplomacy. This game is absolutely fantastic and gets a 10 out of 10 from me. And so we get to the end of the first part for this top 10 list of medieval strategy games. I really hope you guys enjoy this video. Make sure to check out my other videos and playthroughs, subscribe, leave a comment, and wait for the second part. See you all, and let the credits roll.